You ever get that feeling that your phone knows you just a little too well? Or that your favorite streaming service is basically reading your mind? Well, turns out it's not magic. It's this powerful and mostly invisible force called big data. And today we're going to pull back the curtain on how it's shaping, well, pretty much everything. I mean, think about it. You finish binging a series and bam, the next recommendation is exactly what you were in the mood for. How on earth does that happen? It's the perfect place to start because the answer gets right to the heart of what big data is all about. So here's our roadmap for this explainer. We'll kick things off by unpacking that magic, then we'll get into what big data is actually made of, look at the good and the bad, and finally, peek into where this whole thing is headed. Right, so are we talking about mind-reading machines? Not quite. Companies like your favorite streaming service, they aren't psychic. They're just incredibly good at analyzing massive amounts of information. And the technology that lets them do it, that's big data. So what is it exactly? Well, to put it simply, big data is just what it sounds like. Datasets that are so huge and complicated that your standard computer software just can't handle them. Think of it like this. A little corner store's daily sales log, that's small data. Big data is like trying to read every sales receipt from every store on the entire planet, all at the same time. But big is only part of the story. This data isn't just one giant, neat pile of numbers. It's more like a really complex recipe with a bunch of different ingredients. And while some of them are nice and tidy, others are, well, they're a complete mess. Okay, so there are three main types. First, you've got your structured data. This is the super clean, organized stuff that fits perfectly into a spreadsheet. We're talking customer info, sales records, that kind of thing. Then there's semi-structured data, like an HTML file from a website. It has some organization, but it's not in those neat rows and columns. And finally, the really big one, unstructured data. This is literally everything else. Your emails, social media posts, videos, pictures, audio files. It has no formal structure at all, and it actually makes up most of the data in the world. And this right here is a perfect way to see that difference. See on the left? Structured data, all nice and neat in a table. And on the right, that block of text is unstructured data. For a computer, analyzing the one on the left is a piece of cake. The one on the right, though, that's a really complex puzzle that needs some seriously powerful tools to solve.
So we know big data is huge, and we know it's messy. But what really defines it? What's its secret sauce? Well, to get that, we need to look at its unique DNA.
Experts like to talk about big data using this framework called the V's. Now, there are a few of them, but it all started with three core ideas that are absolutely essential to get: volume, velocity, and variety. Let's break those down. First up is volume. And look, the scale here is just staggering. We're not talking about gigabytes anymore. We're talking petabytes, exabytes, even zettabytes. To give you some perspective, just one single exabyte could hold hundreds of thousands of years of HD video. And we are creating many of those every single day. It's wild. Next up is velocity, and that's all about the unbelievable speed that this data is being created and needs to be processed. I mean, just think about what happens online every single minute. Millions of messages are flying back and forth. Thousands of hours of video are uploaded. For big data to actually be useful, you can't analyze it next week. It has to be analyzed like right now. And the third one is variety. This brings us right back to what we were just talking about. Big data is pulling in information from all over the place. Structured numbers from a sales database, text from social media, live video feeds, data from your fitness tracker, you name it. Figuring out how to make sense of all these different formats is a massive challenge. Now, there are a few other V's that add some more layers here. Veracity asks, is this data even accurate? I mean, did you really watch that whole movie, or did you just fall asleep with it on in the background? Then there's value, which is really the whole point. Can we turn all this data into something useful, like a great recommendation? And variability deals with sudden changes, like when a show just blows up out of nowhere and everyone's viewing habits change overnight. So you mix together that incredible volume, velocity, and variety, and you get something with amazing potential. But you know what they say, with great power comes great responsibility, and some pretty serious challenges. Let's look at both sides of that coin. It really does offer some huge advantages, but at the same time, it brings up some real problems that we all have to figure out how to navigate. So on the pro side, big data helps companies and organizations make way smarter data-backed decisions.
It can make their operations much more efficient, and it can give them these deep insights into what customers actually want, which of course gives them a competitive edge and helps them innovate. But the con side is just as big. I mean, the sheer amount of personal data being collected raises some huge privacy and security questions. And if the data quality is bad, remember that veracity problem, it can lead to biased or just plain wrong conclusions. Plus, managing all of this is technically super complex, it's expensive, and there are a lot of strict rules and regulations you have to follow. Okay, so this brings us to our final piece of the puzzle. We have all of this messy, complicated, gigantic data. How do we actually turn it into that perfect show recommendation or, a life-saving medical breakthrough? The answer is a process called big data analytics. This is basically the engine that does all the heavy lifting. It uses really advanced techniques to sift through these enormous piles of data to find hidden patterns, surprising connections, and genuinely useful insights.
And the process pretty much breaks down into 4 steps. First, you gather all that different data. Second, you have to process it and store it somewhere. Third, and this step is absolutely critical, you have to clean the data to get rid of any junk or errors, and only then can you finally analyze it to pull out those valuable insights.
And the future is moving even faster. We're getting closer and closer to instant, real-time analytics. Artificial intelligence and machine learning are making predictive models scarily accurate. And way out there on the horizon, we have things like quantum computing, which promises to solve problems in minutes that would take today's best supercomputers thousands of years. But at the end of the day, it all comes back to this one idea. The goal isn't just to have the most data. It's about being able to extract real, actual value from it, whether that's a new business idea, a better experience for you, or even solving a huge scientific problem.
Which leaves us with one last, and I think really important question. That streaming service that knows exactly what you want to watch next, it's awesome, it's super convenient, but as this technology gets better and better at predicting and maybe even shaping what we want, we have to ask ourselves, who's really in control here? Is it us, or is it the algorithm? Something to think about. Thanks for tuning in.